Welcome back to our latest frequently asked question, our question and answer section. And today we have a great question. I really like this question. It's from Jordan in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I'll read it from my email. Jordan asks, my question relates to cooking techniques. While we're supposed to weigh all food prior to cooking, sometimes we have to buy food on the run or have it in the fridge already cooked. Is there an easy conversion by type of meat and cooking method? For example, how much grilled chicken should I eat if the diet I'm using calls for 10 ounces prior to cooking? What about if it's boiled or roasted? Well, that is a great question because most of the nutrition plans, most of the parameters that are in food logging systems generally will be cooked unless it's specific, or excuse me, before cooking unless it specifically says that it's cooked. Now, one is a general rule of thumb. Now, this isn't specific. This is going to be very general. Whenever you deal in generalities, it's not going to be very, very specific. But as a general rule of thumb, meat will lose about an ounce per 4 ounces cooked. So, a 4-ounce pre-cooked piece of meat generally will weigh around 3 ounces after cooking. It will lose about 1 ounce per every 4 ounces. Now that is a very general term because it all depends on the meat. Fish, for instance, will lose a lot of weight. A cod, for instance, will lose about half its weight in being cooked. It also depends how done the particular meat is that you're cooked. The more done it is, if you're using well done on a piece of red meat versus rare to medium rare, it's not going to lose as much weight. Also, the fattier the red meat, the more weight it's going to use. For instance, if you're using a 99% lean ground turkey breast, it may not, or chicken or turkey itself that's very, very lean, it may not lose as much weight as, let's say, for instance, a ground round, ground chuck, where it has a higher percentage of fat, and therefore it's going to lose a greater percentage of its weight being cooked. So, to answer your question, Jordan, on a 10-ounce piece of chicken, generally, I would say you're going to be somewhere in the range of, probably about 7 ounces of cooked per 10 ounces. If you use that, conversion of, it's going to lose about an ounce for every 4 ounces pre-cooked. But the thing that I always recommend to people, especially if you have a particular food that you eat often and you would rather have the cooked weight rather than the pre-cooked weight and be accurate on your diet, is do try something. What you would do is, for instance, you would take 10 ounces of meat before cooking. You would then cook it to your specifications on how cooked you want it, and then remeasure that exact food to see how many ounces it actually loses in the cooking process based on that particular food, based on how you want it cooked. So that you can do one of two things. You can either understand that it's going to lose about 25 to 50% of its cooked weight when you cook it, based on parameters on the amount of water the food actually contains, whether it's a fish, how much fat it has in it. But a safe rule of thumb would be that it would lose about an ounce per 4 ounces cooked. Or if you want to be ultra specific, and there's a particular foods that you eat often, take that particular food, weigh it before cooking, then weigh it after cooking, and then figure out how much it's actually losing. So if you put it on the scale, it weighs 4 ounces pre-cooked, and after cooking it weighs 3 ounces, that tells you that it loses 25% of its weight. So if your meal plan calls for 8 ounces, then 25% of 8 ounces would be 6 ounces. Let's say you take a piece of cod and it has 4 ounces, but yet post-cooked it's 2 ounces. That tells you that it loses 50% of its weight. So if your plan calls for 8 ounces, you would then want to weigh out 4 ounces cooked, because that would, based on your experiment, it loses 50% of its weight. So that's two ways that you can do it. There's a general way to do it, which you're just eating out. You want to grab something really quick, you weigh it out, boom. And then the other way to do it is to be more specific with it. Also, when you're doing deli meat, another thing that you can do is, if you find out that your particular plan, let's say chicken breast, you know that per ounce chicken breast has 8 ounces, or excuse me, per ounce it's 30 calories per ounce. So for 8 ounces, it's 240 calories. You would then substitute calorie for deli meat if you're in a hurry to make sure that the ratios of calories. That's our goal, is to make sure that whatever your plan is set up for, how many calories your plan is set up for, that you're getting the equal amount of whatever food. So however that needs to happen can take place. Another really quick thing that I want to tell you for convenience is that it's what I actually emailed Jordan about, is containers like this. Although people can argue the health and how healthy they are, these are containers that make it very, very easy. This is pre-made rice that all you have to do is microwave, and would be very easy for people on the go. Same thing as they make foil packets for chicken breast, tuna, a lot of different ways that are very quick and easy for you to take it with you. The most important things is that you're reading the food labels, that you understand your nutrition and how many calories you're getting in for whatever your protein, carb, or vegetable source is, and that you're substituting very close calorie for calorie. I hope that answers your question, Jordan. I appreciate you guys tuning in today.
When you feel that something's wrong, I'll shelter you and keep you warm. I'll never let you walk alone.